Yesterday we had come up to the sixth specification of sensors and transducers. We had discussed a bit about sensitivity of a sensor transducer. In simple terminology or in simple words, it is the output given by a given transducer corresponding to the given input parameter. We had taken the case of a thermocouple which gives, in this case, it gives 41 microvolt per degree Celsius. There can be other transducers as well which might give us 1 volt. I'm talking about 1 volt or in some cases 1 millivolt of output per unit change in the input parameter. So this sensitivity corresponds to responsiveness of a given transducer to the given input signal. Now this sensitivity parameter, as I discussed yesterday also, it is very important while deciding a particular application or a particular mechatronic application. In case of the processes in process control instrumentations or in some mechatronics devices related to chemical processes where uh, the sensitivity becomes very important. In a sense, in a given chemical batch reactor, it's a vessel in which all the uh, chemical ingredients are mixed together. Those are maintained under certain pressure, and those are stirred at a defined rate, and the temperature is also maintained at a particular value. Now in such cases where the batch output or whatever drug they are going to manufacture out of this mixture, it is very sensitive to any changes in the process parameters. Like if the temperature of the mixture varies a bit, the output composition or the output drug would be different. If the mixture is not homogeneous, the output product would be different. If the concentrations of different chemical ingredients are slightly different, the output product would be different. In such cases, we require very sensitive instrumentation. The temperature with a slight variation in temperature, maybe to the tune of zero point 0.1 degree Celsius, if there is change, immediately my transducer should give me output, and accordingly the corrective actions are required to be taken. So in certain situations, we require highly sensitive equipments, but in some cases, slow acting processes, we don't require very highly sensitive transducers. Those examples could be our domestic refrigerator or domestic air conditioner. If the thermal sensor or the temperature sensor, if it senses the temperature value in a little delayed manner, in a slow manner, or the output is little bit slow or output is little bit low, because these two devices, air conditioner in particular, is related to comfort. So in such cases, we don't require very highly sensitive equipments. But if you consider the case of a medical equipment, therein you require a highly sensitive transducer. So this is regarding sensitivity specification or the sensitivity performance characteristics. It plays very important role in selection of transducer. Now the next important specification parameter is resolution. In mechanical terms, we can call it as a least count of a given transducer. Now, the way it is defined, it's a bit complicated definition, but we'll try to simplify it. Resolution is the smallest detectable incremental change of input parameter that can be detected in the output signal. Now, resolution can be expressed either as a proportion of the full scale reading or in absolute term as well. Now, he has given an example of a linear variable differential transducer sensor, differential transformer sensor, which measures the displacement. We'll be studying this LVDT later on as a position sensor, which is used for measurement of displacement. Taking this case, which is used for measurement of displacement, uh, if it is measuring a displacement of, let us say, uh, 20 millimeter, for as an example, and if the scale LVDT scale has 100 divisions, 1 to 100 divisions, then the resolution or the minimum detectable value that this LVDT transducer would be able to measure would be this 20 centimeters divided by 100. So it would come out to be zero point 0.2 millimeter. So this LVDT has got 0.2 millimeter resolution. So in simple words, it is the smallest change that it can detect, the instrument or the transducer can detect. If you consider a case of an analog instrument, maybe a pressure gauge, let us say, and it is meant to measure pressure from 0 bar to, let us say, 5 bar. So we have uh, marks of 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bar, and 5 bar. Try to visualize that pressure gauge. And in between 0 to 1 bar, if I got 10 divisions, so each division corresponds to zero point 0.1 bar. So the resolution of that pressure gauge would be zero point 0.1 bar. The smallest detectable change, or the smallest output that a given transducer can show up when it is subjected to input parameter. This resolution is also one important static performance characteristic, because it all depends on whether we are dealing with static parameters or if we are dealing with dynamic parameters. Those play very important role. If it is a continuously varying flow situation, if it is a continuously varying temperature situation, then our resolution requirements would be different. And if it is a slow acting process, if it is a stationary static process, our resolution requirements would be different. We'll move to the next transducer specification, that is hysteresis. Now, this hysteresis we have studied earlier also during our school or college days as well. This term is normally related with magnetization. We conducted one experiment wherein we have a electromagnet wherein we varied the input current to that electromagnet, and the amount of flux that is developed, that is the flux density that is developed, the magnetic flux that is developed, is measured and that is put on y-axis. If you remember, as I go on increasing the current, input current, go on increasing the input current, it will show the increasing trend of magnetization. And when I go on decreasing the current, that line which I obtained when I was increasing the current, the same line will not be repeated. It will follow the other path and it will go down. It will follow another path, and when I decrease the current, that amount of magnetization will have a different path, and that forms a sort of a loop pattern, and that we called as hysteresis loss in case of magnetic flux. Now, the same term related to transducer in general. Take the case of a temperature measuring device, let us say. I have a heat source wherein I can increase the heater input or the heat flux input, which is given in watt per meter squared, and I slowly increase this heater input with the help of, let us say, dimmer stat, and I go on measuring the temperature inside a chamber, let us say. So at different values, I'll be getting different temperatures. At different values, when I go on increasing the heat input, I'll be getting different values of temperature. As you can see in a blue line, I'll be getting, when I'm increasing the heat flux, I'll be getting increasing temperature. And I go to the maximum value, and when I uh, take the reading in a descending manner. This was ascending manner. If when I start taking the reading in descending manner, in a sense, I go on decreasing the heat flux now. Ideally, the temperature sensor or transducer should follow the same path. As I decrease the heat flux, it should, ideally it should follow the same path. But practically, what happens is, for this particular position, let us say maybe some 80 watt per meter square heat flux, I was getting a temperature of say 100 Kelvin. Let us say, just as an example, 100 Kelvin when I was taking reading in ascending order. Okay, when I was taking reading in ascending order, and I was getting a temperature of 100 Kelvin when I was taking reading in ascending order. When I go on decreasing the input at the same heat input value, I might get a temperature, a higher temperature reading, maybe 120 Kelvin. So this much would be the hysteresis error of that transducer. Now when I come to this particular value, there will be maximum hysteresis error given by the transducer. This is a bit exaggerated figure, just to make you understand the meaning of hysteresis error. Actually, the variation will not be that much. It might be to the tune of maximum 5% the full scale. At 50% of heat input, earlier I was getting a temperature of, let us say, some 40 Kelvin. I might get 50 Kelvin when I am taking reading in the descending order. So this much is the hysteresis error. Put in words, hysteresis is an error of a sensor which is defined as the maximum difference in output at any measurement value within the sensor specified range when approaching the point first with increasing and then with decreasing the input parameter. Figure shows the hysteresis error during measurement of temperature using a thermocouple. This is the example he has given. Okay. Let us go to the next specification parameter, that is non-linearity. Now, non-linearity corresponds to nonlinear behavior of the transducer elements. Now, let us take the case of a spring. If I have got a spring scale, uh, within the elastic limit, that spring scale, when it is subjected to external load, if you remember, the stress is proportional to strain, and as per the applied load, there will be deflection of the spring. So applied force is proportional to displacement x, and the constant of proportionality is stiffness of the spring. So this is a linear behavior of the stress of the spring uh, when we are applying load within the elastic limit. If I go on increasing the load, and when the value of the load crosses the elastic limit, what will happen is the spring will start behaving in a nonlinear way. Means what? When the force is increased, I might not get the proportionate increase in displacement. I might get lesser displacement. And if the spring has started yielding beyond that higher force value, I might get higher or larger displacement, deflection of the spring. So this is a simple example of a spring when it is working in a elastic limit, and if I have a plot of force versus deflection or displacement, it will show a linear graph, and beyond that elastic limit it will become nonlinear. So this simple example should make the concept of nonlinearity clearer to you. Using the similar example, any parameter, maybe temperature, maybe pressure, the sensing element or the transducer element, when it receives those parameters, the way they transduce or convert that input parameter, whether it transduces or converts that parameter in a proportionate fashion, I might have a linear behavior. And if it doesn't convert it in a proportionate manner, I might get a nonlinear behavior. And the index, what is the proportion of this nonlinear behavior, is given by this nonlinearity index, which is given in percentage. That is, nonlinearity percentage is equal to maximum deviation in input multiplied by 100 divided by maximum full scale input. The static nonlinearity is dependent upon environmental factors, temperature, vibration, acoustic noise level, and humidity. There are various factors which define nonlinearity of a given transducer. Moving to the next important static parameter, that is dead band, and the other one is dead time. Now, dead means non-responsive. Dead band, as the name indicates, the dead band or a dead space of a transducer is the range of input values for which there is no output. So let us take the case of a familiar case which we have seen, the pressure gauge. I'm connecting this pressure gauge to a pipe through which some gas is flowing, and I have connected this pressure gauge. The value of the pressure, the input pressure, that value of input pressure till the analog pressure indicator starts, the pointer starts moving. So that value, that band or that space for which there is no signal, there is no sense signal, there is no indicated signal, that is called as the dead band of a transducer. And dead time of a sensor device or a transducer device is the time duration from the application of input until the output begins to respond or change. So here it is the space measure, and in dead time it is a time measure. Till what time the transducer doesn't give any output. So that is the dead time. So all these 10, friends, are the static performance characteristics of the sensor transducer. Uh, the 11th is the dynamic characteristic. Now we are just considering one dynamic characteristic as such, which is the response time. In fact, there are few more. One is the time constant of a given transducer. The other one could be the rise time of a transducer. One more parameter, dynamic parameter, can be the settling time of a given transducer. Now, for understanding this response time, which is a dynamic characteristic, now as I told you earlier, also dynamic characteristic corresponds uh, to the parameters which are changing with respect to time. Take the case of a pump. I have a suction pipe and I have a discharge pipe, and I have connected pressure gauges for the suction side, a vacuum pressure gauge on the suction side, and I have discharge pressure gauge on the discharge side, discharge pipe of the pump. Now, as the pump is started, when it is started sucking water from the well or a reservoir, and it is pumping out to the desired destination, now the pressure will be constantly fluctuating, it will be constantly changing, because if you have seen, I don't know whether you have done your fluid machine practicals, there are pressure gauges even on the turbine test stick, even on the pump test stick. You will see that the pressure gauges are constantly flickering. That means those pressure gauges are not having good dynamic response characteristics. They should remain stable even if there are dynamic variations in pressure values. So this is the example of a dynamic pressure variation. Like that, there are many temperature measuring devices also, or temperature measuring situations also, wherein the input parameter is constantly changing. Now, to these changing or dynamic input parameters or measuring parameters, how the given transducer behaves. These are categorized under dynamic performance characteristics. Now, if we take the example of a simple example, let us say I have got a thermometer. Now, this is a known example to all of you. I have got a thermometer which is calibrated from, let us say, it is calibrated from 0 degrees Celsius to maybe 150 degrees Celsius. You have a liquid in glass thermometer, and it's a mercury filled glass thermometer. And I have got a temperature bath wherein water is boiling, and I know the boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. I know that the water is at 100 degrees Celsius right now. Now, what I do is presently when I am holding the thermometer in my hand, it will start indicating the temperature of the atmosphere. Right now, let us say the temperature is around 35 degrees Celsius. Let us say 30 degrees Celsius at present. So the thermometer, when I'm holding it in hand, it will show 35 degrees Celsius. Now this thermometer, which is showing 30 degrees Celsius, is suddenly immersed into this temperature water bath, which is presently at 100 degrees Celsius. So what I'm doing practically is I'm subjecting the thermometer to a step input of what temperature value? Can anyone tell? 100 degrees Celsius minus the temperature of the thermometer, that is 30. So I am subjecting this thermometer to a signal of 70 degrees Celsius. So in mechatronic terminology, we can say that, or in control terminology, what they say is that this thermometer is subjected to a step input of 70 degrees Celsius. If I want to plot it, suppose I have here I have the temperature scale. On x-axis I have temperature, and on y-axis I have the input parameter as well as I am showing the output parameter as well. So what I am doing is, now this is the input parameter as well as output parameter. What I am doing is, at time t is equal to 0, there are temperature scales. Let us say I got 0 degrees Celsius to, let us say, 100 degrees Celsius. So what I'm doing presently is, this is called as at time t is equal to 0, time t is equal to 0 or less than 0, there is no temperature signal, and instantaneously when I immerse that thermometer into this water bath which is at 100 degrees Celsius, what I'm doing is I'm subjecting it to a temperature of 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, 70. I'm still practicing how to write on the screen. Okay, 70 degrees Celsius. So I'm subjecting a thermometer to step input. How it appears? It appears as a step. So this is called, as in control terminology, it is called as a step input. I am subjecting this thermometer to a step input of 70 degrees Celsius. Now what I expect when I immerse the thermometer inside that temperature bath, what I expect is my thermometer should instantaneously read 100 degrees Celsius. But what practically happens? Let us say after time t, after it is immersed, maybe after 1 second, it will start showing some 30 degrees Celsius. At time maybe after 2 seconds, it will start showing maybe 70. Maybe after t3, it will start showing me 100. So the response of my thermometer would be like this. So this is the time delay. Getting my point? This is the time delay. When I have immersed the thermometer inside a temperature bath, instantaneously my thermometer doesn't show uh, the desired output. It doesn't show 100 degrees Celsius. Maybe it takes some time to show 100 degrees Celsius. So this is the response time. Now there are 2-3 parameters, as I said. There is one definition. I think we need to stop. The time is running out, but I'll uh, now there is one parameter called as time constant. Now that time constant corresponds to that time, the time required for a transducer to show 67% of the final output value. The time required, I repeat, the time required, this is the time required for the transducer element, for this thermometer element, let us say, to show 67.32% of the final value. Maybe the time required in this case, the time required to show 67.32 degrees Celsius will be the time constant tau of that thermometer. So that is also one dynamic performance characteristic related to transducer. There is a parameter something called as rise time. The time required for the transducer to the rise to the final value, that is 100 degrees Celsius for the first time, that is called as rise time. Now what happens practically is that it will take some time and it will not settle. The temperature shown by the thermometer does not settle at 100 degrees Celsius instantaneously. It will just overshoot, it will undershoot, and then slowly it will stabilize around 1 to 2%, 1 to 2% of final value. So this is the band of 1 to 2%, let us say. Now the time required for my transducer to show the output signal within a band of 1 to 2%, within a band of 1 to 2% of the final value is called as steady state value. The time required is called as settling time. So this time is called as the settling time, meaning the time required for the transducer to settle around 1 to 2% of the final value is called as the settling time of the transducer. So these are the few dynamic characteristics we need to understand and study. And remember friends, before we go further, uh, these 10 static and few more are also there. We consider only 10 static performance characteristics and few dynamic performance characteristics. These are very important from the design of a mechatronic device point of view, because whatever concept that we have in our mind, whatever design concept that we have in our mind regarding the mechatronic device I am planning, the transducers which give me the correct feedback signal by sensing that parameter are very critical, because my mechatronic device would be able to function properly only if it gets this feedback signal from the sensor transducers appropriately, and then only it can take the correcting action, it can take the actuating action, and the desired function would be performed. So we need to clearly understand the static and dynamic performance characteristics of a given sensor transducers. So based on these characteristics or these specifications, which are available for every transducer or the transducer measuring any of the physical parameters, these characteristics are available. We need to map these characteristics with my requirement and appropriately select the transducer for my application. I think we'll stop for today.